This is Ellis Rich and you're watching RMC TV.
Hello, I'm Kieran B and welcome to RMC TV. Today we're going to be interviewing Ellis Rich, who in the early 70s transcribed the hit Queen songs Killer Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody. Hello Ellis.
Hi.
So you've been in the music industry from the early 70s. Would you like to tell us a bit about your background and where you're coming from and how you got there?
Yes, I mean, my background started when I was 5 and I started playing the piano, so I've always been very much steeped in music. Always enjoyed playing it, listening to it and working in it. I joined Feldman's Music as a postboy and then got into the arranging department when old-fashioned sheet music used just to be a piano, bass and drums. And when Queen came along with songs like Killer Queen, we really couldn't do that. So I suggested that we actually did a note-for-note transcription that was so accurate that you could play along with the record. And it meant that the sheet music was 12 pages long, but it also meant that everybody bought it. So for a couple of years that was sort of more or less my job, doing all the tracks on all the albums, not just the single, all the early Queen albums I had to do the music for. So that kept me very busy and great fun.
Okay. You were responsible for a UK and USA top 30 chart hit on Capitol Records. Who was the artist of the band and what was the song title?
Oh God, now you found that out. Well, what I did, I was the artist, I was the band, and it was a sort of a rhythmic version of Mozart's 40th Symphony. It was called Mozart 40, and the band was called the Sovereign Collection, and then there was actually obviously session musicians, and amazingly we got to number 22 in the British charts. It tells you how much the record business has changed, because this was 1972, and peaking at 22, we sold 320,000 records. And if you do that now, you're number one probably for a month or more. And we were unfortunately beaten by the original version, which was by Vaudeville, so we also got to number 5 and sold a little more than we did. But nevertheless, it was a respectable effort.
Definitely. So I believe he was appointed International Professional Manager looking after EMI, publishing internationally. How did you find that experience?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it was an interesting job because I was dealing with English product being released overseas and overseas product being released in the UK. So it was a two-way thing. And we must remember that back then there weren't many overseas records released here in the UK. There were hits like Trio and Rather VO. That was really the beginning of overseas records becoming successful here. We don't think of it now because anyone's got access to the same equipment so they can make a good quality recording anywhere. But it was still very interesting at the time. There were lots of good overseas bands that we became aware of. Blondie, for example, that had their first hit in Australia, which is how I became aware of them. Little River Band, lots of other bands from Australia as well, actually. But no, it was an enjoyable experience.
Okay. Ellis, in 1981 you left EMI to become independent. Have you enjoyed any other chart success since then?
Yes, I mean, when I left EMI I took Simon Cowell with me, who had worked for me at EMI. And our company was called ENS Music, Ellis and Simon. And there was one point in our first year when we had 5 tracks in the top 40, which was great. Pointer Sisters, Boys Town Gang, and we had a nice selection of records and we did very well. We had a good time with Had By All.
You became General Manager of Supreme Songs and soon enjoyed a worldwide hit. Who were the artists or the band and what was the song title?
The big hit was a rather strange Yemenite folk song called Ibn Minaloo. Please don't ask it. It's sung about the gates of heaven, apparently. Ibn Minaloo is a dance version, and it was, although it was only number 15 in the UK, it was quite huge in some overseas territories, number 1 in Germany, Spain, Greece, Brazil, quite a few territories. And the album did the same thing, the same kind of performance, so that was particularly good. And, did very well for us.
Okay. I believe you're the chairman for PRS, is that correct?
Yeah.
What does your role involve?
I was appointed chairman in January 2005, and I have been a director for a few years before that. It's great to be appointed chairman, and really my role involves obviously chairing board meetings and other committee meetings and making sure the board are kept well informed of what's going on with the society. There's 44,000 members, so there's a lot of people to keep happy, and basically just making sure that things run smoothly. And although as chair, I'm not supposed to become involved in day-to-day activities, it's far more involved in the policy decisions and blue sky thinking and issues like that.
Okay. In 2005, you appeared in the crowd on X Factor. What was the reason for this, and how did that come about?
The reason for that was that I'm friends with Chico and his girlfriend. Every artist gets a little section of the audience, and I've had complete strangers coming up to me to ask me if it was me they saw in the audience in X Factor, which is a bit worrying, but it was actually great fun. It was fun to see Simon as well, who the first time I went there didn't realise I was going to be there. I ended up in his dressing room drinking champagne and meeting his mum for the first time for 20 years, so it was good fun.
Okay. Do you have any up-and-coming projects in 06 that you would like to tell us about?
There's always things going on, and I do a series of seminars really to help young people get into the music business. Okay. And fun enough, there's one tomorrow night, on 20th of April. It's at Stratford Circus in Theatre Square, which is right by Stratford Station on the Central Line. It's from 7 till 9, it's completely free. There'll be a big question and answer session, about 4 people on a panel, and just generally to help young kids to get into the business, because that new talent's got to come from somewhere.
Definitely. Well, we'd like to say thank you for this interview, Ellis.
Thank you, Kieran.
And you're watching RMC TV, so stay tuned.
This is Ellis Rich and you're watching RMC TV. Rich means class.